Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the SaVeg podcast.
Hey everyone. How's everyone doing?
You're sounding professional all of a sudden.
Am I? Oh God. I'll stop that immediately.
You sound professional compared to 2 seconds ago.
Well, 2 seconds ago we were talking about Rose receiving, so...
Oh God, you guys. Seriously, if you could hear our private conversations, some of it is just not appropriate. Anyways, how are we? How are you?
I'm pretty good.
How was your weekend out in the mountains?
My weekend was good. It wasn't actually the mountains. So me and my parents decided, we actually booked this like a while ago before the whole,
second lockdown
happened. We just wanted like a weekend getaway, just so a nice little cabin retreat. So we found this place that was like really nice. It's just outside of, Edmonton. And
that's kind of far.
It took us 3.5 hours to drive there. So
wow, okay.
And it was like in this like off on this like rural side road, and the cabin was like so beautiful with like a little fireplace and heated floors, and it was just so nice. And we were right next to. Have you been to Elk Island National Park?
No, I haven't. I haven't even heard about it. Were there elks?
Yeah, well, there's elk.
Shut up.
And there's moose there and bison.
Like natural, like in the wild?
Well,
or is it like a...
The thing
is it like a sanctuary?
It's kind of like a sanctuary, because I thought it was like a national park like Banff, where it's just like wild. But apparently it's the largest park in Canada that's like enclosed. So they have like a border of fence that goes around it, but it's huge. I mean, it's like 200 kilometers or something squared. I don't know. It's like a massive, it is kind of like a sanctuary, I guess, for these animals. Is
it though? Or is it like a zoo, Daniel? Did you go to a zoo?
It's not a zoo, Rose. Okay. Come on.
Are we sure?
Oh,
I am asking semi-seriously. I do want to know like more details about this place.
It's from my understanding, it's not a zoo at all. It's part of like, Alberta Parks and Recreation. It's like, it's not, these animals aren't in cages. Like you can't see them half the time. Like they're just wandering this huge space, right? I guess it would be like kind of similar to like, I guess the game reserves in Africa aren't fenced, are they? I don't know.
No,
anyway.
Usually they're not. I don't know. Yeah, I wonder. Well, I remember back in the day, in like when we first moved to Canada, which was like in 1997, in Banff, there was... So Banff is like the national park in the Canadian Rockies. That's close to us, by the way, for those of you guys that don't know. And in Banff, there was a buffalo park. Do you know about this, Daniel?
No, I don't remember.
There was. Oh my God, you've never been?
No.
There was like a park where there was like tons of buffalo just chilling. And you could just like drive, like you're not supposed to get out of your car, obviously, because like you'll die.
Yeah.
But you can like just drive into the park, and then there's like buffalo just like chilling. And yeah, that was like there for a few years. And then I remember at some point we like stopped going there because we used to go there all the time. And then at some point we stopped going. And then apparently it's because the buffalo, they just like decided to leave. So I guess it wasn't fenced in because it was just like there for them to chill. I don't really know the details.
You know, there's another place actually. I did a road trip like years ago up to Alaska, and there's a part of the stretch of like the Alaskan Highway, it's called, where you leave British Columbia, you go through the Yukon of Canada, like that kind of area. And there's like a really famous stretch of the highway where there's like this massive herd of buffalo that just like, because around the highway, it's like kind of cleared area of grasslands, right? Because if you think about the highway, you have like 2 clear patches and then you have forest, right? So for these like grazing animals, it's probably a good spot to go and like grab some grass because it's like just right there and they don't have to wander through the trees, I guess.
Right.
And so like we when we drove past, it was actually crazy. There was just so many like bison or buffalo or whatever, like all over the road, all over the like it was crazy. And some of them were like, and I think it's like the
gigantic.
Oh my God, huge. And we were in like this like massive van, and this one bison was like, I'm not kidding you, the size of our van. And I was like,
shut up.
Yeah. And the traffic was super slow because they're all in the road and stuff. So you kind of have to wait for them to pass to like go. And I was like, if that bison charges us, we are fucked.
You're dead.
Yeah. Like there's
like, you think he could have like gone through the van?
Oh,
like
100%. 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn. I don't remember them being that. Well, maybe those ones, like the Alaskan Air is a bit different, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe the Buffalo in Banff, but they went to Alaska. Who knows?
Yeah, they could be on the Alaskan highway now, and maybe that's where they be chilling.
Maybe. And maybe, you know, they wanted some of that fresh Alaskan air, you know?
Oh, yeah, that crisp Alaskan air. Speaking of crisp air, me and my parents tried to do a walk around the park because I really wanted to like do like a nice hike or whatever. We got out of the car, and with the wind chill, it was like minus like 25 or 27.
Oh God.
We walked for like maybe 10 minutes, and then we were all like, no, this isn't happening.
There's
like,
no way.
Yeah, it was just too cold.
Well, you went kind of like up north, like that. It is colder up there, so I'm not too surprised.
Well, it's a lot. It's like a lot colder in Edmonton, I think, like just in that general region.
It's a lot colder
because you go north, and they're also like not close to the mountains, so they're actually quite far.
Yes.
So they don't get those Chinooks and all the like kind of warm air, more warm air that we get, which is ironic because Calgary is also really cold, but not as cold as Edmonton. But it's
not as cold as Edmonton.
Yeah. And you know what else I noticed when I was up there, Rose?
What did you notice, Daniel?
Your favorite, there was tons and tons. I think the most pickup trucks I've ever seen in my life. Massive trucks. And
in the highway?
Everywhere. Literally, I'm not kidding you. It's like the second we got kind of remotely close to Edmonton, it was just so many big trucks. And like we were in line at Tim Hortons, just getting a coffee or whatever. And this truck was in front of us. I took a picture of it's like, because it was just so ridiculous.
I saw it. Was it on your Instagram?
Yeah. And their license plate was like, get her done. That's what their license plate was.
Get her done.
And underneath.
Is that a Canadian saying?
It is. It is a Canadian, like, get her done. But it's like very.
Get it done?
Yeah.
Like what?
But
why are we so embarrassing? Okay, continue.
I know. But then they also had, this is the icing on the cake, those balls that hang out from the bottom of the truck. Have you seen those?
Okay, I feel like I've heard of this, but I've never seen this. Is this like an Alberta thing? Guys, this is embarrassing. Okay.
I know.
Just to give you some context for those of you that are not in Canada, Alberta, which is the province that we live in, is known as the Texas of Canada. How embarrassing is that? So it is a very conservative province, and Edmonton is known to be a little bit more rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Okay,
they always say Edmonton is like more blue collar and Calgary is more like white collar. So, but we ain't that white collar in Calgary either, let me tell you.
We white something else.
Oh, goddamn. But yeah,
what are these balls?
I don't know. There was like a big trend that went on. And I remember this happening when we were in uni, because I remember like seeing these things like when I was just like driving around, even in Calgary. And it's like guys get these like massive pickup trucks, and then they feel the need to buy these like kind of either metal or plastic things that look like testicles, which they hang from the back of their truck as if it's like their truck's balls, you know?
Like, is it actually intentionally supposed to look like balls, or is it supposed to do something else?
No, Rose, 100% these are balls. You need to Google this because there's no other function.
Okay, I need to Google. Okay, how do I Google this? Truck balls?
Just type in. Type in truck balls. And I really, you're welcome to all of you
truck
listeners
balls
that have
Canada. Oh my God, you guys. You need to go on Google, guys. Oh my God, I can't. Is this for real?
It's a legit thing.
There's no fucking way. What? What? I'm sorry, but this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Hold on. What? Hold on. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. Is this for real?
Yep. It's a thing.
Like this? Do you see this?
Yes, that's exactly it. Yep. And that hangs from the back of the truck.
What is the purpose?
So the purpose of it is to show that your truck's a man.
Ultimate vehicle accessory. Ew, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever, I don't even... You know how there's like that stereotype of like if a guy gets like a really big truck for no reason, he's trying to overcompensate.
Exactly.
It's like, this is...
Because then this is...
full on overcompensation.
This is like to the next level. I just don't understand like what the appeal is of to like have these balls hanging from your truck. So, I mean, you guys please just enlighten me.
And then there's pictures. I can't. Like this?
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Are you seeing this? That's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I apologize on behalf of Canadians.
It's pretty...
that people like this exist. This has to be a Canadian thing because... Actually, I don't know. But as soon as I searched truck balls, the first thing that came up was Canada. But maybe because I'm in Canada.
It's probably because you're in Canada. Yeah. But still, it's a thing. I've seen it in Calgary. I haven't seen it for a while, to be honest.
That is so embarrassing.
It lovely graced my view.
Get her done,
in
Daniel.
the
Get her
truck.
done.
So, and you can just kind of imagine what kind of person will be driving that truck.
Oh my God.
I didn't see,
yes.
but I can kind of imagine.
I mean, we shouldn't stereotype, but also like,
ew,
gross.
Maybe we're being like really biased here, Rose. Like maybe we need to be more open-minded, but like I just don't.
Okay, I'm sorry. If a guy shows up with balls on his truck, let me just say that as a deal breaker.
Yeah. I mean, if he should. But the thing is, Rose, you might not know right away because it's at the back of the truck.
I'm going to have to look at the fucking back of the truck now. Apparently, there's another place I need to check to make sure I'm not, on a date with a psychopath.
You got to look for those red flags. So now, before you get into someone's truck.
God damn it. I need a book of red flags.
Yeah, just be like, have to pull out the book of red flags. Hang on a second. I just have a few items on my checklist I need to go through. Do you have balls on the back of your truck? If yes, I'm leaving now.
Oh, God. Seriously, I can't.
It's just
This is like, I just can't. Mm-hmm. Why? Anyway, guys, if any of you have balls at the back of your truck, please take them off and throw them away. There's no need. No need.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's like an unnecessary thing to buy, I just feel like. But then I guess...
It must be like a joke, though. It's like something that like maybe you get your, trashy friend as a joke.
Like a joke, like a gag gift.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But then like, why would you put it on your truck? I'd be like, haha, that's funny. Garbage.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Rose, if you get a vehicle and I buy you some vehicle balls, you're not going to put it on the back of your car?
I'm sorry, Daniel. I love you, but no, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Maybe the real gag is that I will sneakily put it on your car without you knowing.
Oh my God. And honestly, I probably will never notice. I do not notice shit. Like, I don't notice anything.
I know. Someone would eventually tell you, though. They'll be like, Rose, did you know that there's balls hanging on the back of your car?
Can you imagine, like, somebody sees that and then, like, sees me getting out of the car?
Yes.
They'll be like, something doesn't add up.
They'll probably be like, oh, she's driving her boyfriend's car or something. Like, that's...
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh. Anyway, I don't know what's worse, people thinking it would be my car or people thinking that I'm dating someone that has a car with balls hanging out of the back.
That's true.
I almost feel like it's better if it's my car because it's like kind of ironic and funny.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's a guy, it's just like sad.
What do you guys think? You guys that are listening, would you put balls in the back of your truck?
Oh, God, please don't. Please don't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so
that was a great start to our podcast. It was truck balls.
Truck balls. So
okay, so other than that, your trip was good. You saw some elk. Mm-hmm. You saw some moose.
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't physically see the elk or moose, but I know that they're at the park. But we did see some bison, which was cool.
Oh, very cool.
From a distance. And then one of the hikes that we were going to do, it's a pretty high chance to see some elk. So, but again.
It was way too cold.
Yeah. It was just, once it gets to like that level of like coldness, it's just like, it takes the fun out. Like today was like amazing. Like it was -3 or 4, which sounds cold, but actually I went outside for 2 walks today and it was beautiful.
Yeah. It was really nice outside.
Yeah. That you can hike in, and do other winter activities. Like what are you suggesting that we do, Rose? I want to know what
Daniel, we need to go skating. We need to go ice skating. Well, guys, okay. We found out. So initially when this whole second lockdown thing announcement was made, we were like, well, I guess we can't go for walks anymore because they said no outdoor gathering. Here's the thing. Can I just rant for a second?
Please rant.
I know we rant a lot. This is basically our podcast. We just rant.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good vent option for us, right? It's like
trained in bad communication. Sorry, what were you saying? What did you say?
I was just saying the podcast is like a good opportunity for us to just vent,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what we use this for. And it's great. It's like therapy because we get to yell at the mic.
Exactly.
And you get to hear us complain.
Anyway, continue, Rose. Sorry.
Okay, but what I was saying was, it's like the government does not have a PR team and they don't know how to communicate things ever. So I know that this is like, everyone's confused. This is a very confusing time, but it's like, if you are, part of the government, you should have a very good PR system or PR team to deal with communication that you are putting out to the public as a public safety measure. So they will put out all these like statements. Like, for example, one of the things that they say is like, if you live alone, then you can have 2 contacts outside of your home, like because you live alone, which, in some ways it makes sense. So they say like, oh yeah, if you live alone in your household, then you can, meet people outside of your household up to a number of 2. So you can have 2 outside contacts. But then they don't specify, do those people have to be living alone too? Because if you don't live alone, you're not technically supposed to see people outside of your household.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, okay, what does that mean? Now everyone has to interpret what that means.
But this is what I was thinking as well about the communication. As like there was a lot of confusion with the announcement because I was confused as well, and I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Everyone's confused.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
And I'm like, okay, I get that they're having to do these things quite quickly and respond to what's going on. But my question is like, quite often, like for example, if I have a presentation or if I have something that I'm doing, I usually quality test it. You know what I mean? I'll present to my parents or to a friend or whatever, because then you get feedback, you get questions. And like, had they just said that to like a group or like a couple people, all of these questions would have come up. Like another one that they mentioned was, well, first of all, your really good point about people living alone can have up to 2 other contacts, but do those people have to be alone? What's the rule there? Another one was they said no indoor, outdoor, effective immediately, no indoor, outdoor gatherings. And then of any yet some people were like, well, does that mean I can go for a walk outside with a friend? Like, what does this all mean? Like, what are the like restrictions? And had they like, I feel like if they'd done like a practice, like people would have asked questions. Like if I was in that meeting, I would have been like with my boss or someone was presenting this, I would have been like, hey, I had a question right here. What does this mean? What does this mean? Like,
do they not do this?
I would think that they would, but maybe it's not like a practice of the, government right now. I have no idea, but I just don't know why you wouldn't test this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And it's like, these are very like, as soon as they said it, it's like those questions came up pretty quickly.
Oh,
You're
right
like,
away.
okay. Yeah. So it's not like it's like some abstract, we just randomly pulled out a random question out of nowhere. It's like these are very, kind of obvious questions that people would ask. And then, in the beginning, they're like, no more indoor or outdoor gatherings. And then now we just read that actually you are allowed to go outdoors if it's for physical activity.
Yeah.
So you can go for walks with other people as long as you're walking and not just like standing there.
Exactly. So if we get together, Rose, we can't just stand there, okay, and congregate. We have to actually be exerting some kind of physical... We just
have to be distanced, and we just have to be walking.
Exactly, which is what we were doing pretty much anyways, so...
Yeah. So now we realize that, so that's kind of good news, right?
Yes, it's very good news. Okay. I'm very happy about that.
Yes, I'm very happy about that, and... But yeah, I mean, that's the main complaint. I think that's why people are just always so confused because the government is so confused. And I think probably, not just our government, but like pretty much every government out there is just like not knowing how to handle this.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of them are scrambling like to, try to come up with these ideas, and they're trying to do their best. But again, I think especially like with anything like this, like, they should have, and if they did do like a presentation or a practice run with some people, if those people aren't asking those questions, then you need to get other people in the room that are going to ask questions. You don't want people, because some people are like too shy to maybe bring up questions and stuff in like meetings. You need to like scrap that. This is not the time for that. Like ask your questions. And at least that way, when the government does present something, it can be like a well-constructed thing. So if there are a few minor confusions, okay, but like for literally everybody to be confused about what you're meaning, like that is so bad. Like that's so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder if anyone else, leave us a comment if you're watching on YouTube or something, if you're dealing with some sort of confusion on your end from your government, because
I feel like the government is just in general confusing. Like even when I was living in the UK, it's like anytime you need to do something government related,
oh my God,
it's always
so
a pain
bad.
And you run around in circles and you try to use their websites and the websites are the worst. Like honestly,
it's like, why are we paying taxes, bitch?
Exactly. Like who designed this website? Who is like,
oh my God. Yeah, it's bad.
It's so bad. When I got back to Canada, I had to like call them for some tax stuff because I just moved back. Honestly, first of all, I was like on hold for like 3 hours, like before I got through. And then when I got through, I was like passed around to like 20 different departments. It was crazy. And I still was like, no one's answered my question. Like, please help me.
Oh God, I know.
Oh God. So frustrating.
Underfunded.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other part of it is.
Who knows? Daniel, do you have stories for us?
I have a few. I have a couple stories, but I also wanted to go into a rant before we break into our stories.
Oh, is this a continuation from last week?
It sure is. We kind of I brought it up last week.
I will let you rant.
Yes, please. We each have our little ranting session. And I don't know if maybe I'm alone on this one. I don't think I am, but it's like really... It's something that's gotten a little bit under my skin, and it just does irritate me. So I've never been a big fan of booking fees in general. But I get why sometimes some companies charge this for like processing or whatever it may be. Like they need to have these booking fees, I guess, right? What's ticked me off though is during this, and I feel like I'm not the only one that's alone. I know a lot of people are in this situation with probably stuff that's a higher dollar value than mine. But the fact of the matter is, it irritates me when I pay for something such as tickets to an event or a flight or whatever it may be, and then that gets canceled or because of what's going on. I feel like as a consumer, I'm entitled to receive that money back because I didn't get that service, regardless and I should have got that full refund back because like, I'm happy to pay the booking fee if I get a ticket, you know, but if I don't receive a ticket, why am I still paying a booking fee? Like,
what's the booking fee for?
Exactly. Well, that's my question is what is it for? Like,
does it say on the website?
No. So I actually asked them because this is like a little side thing, but I asked them just because it does, like, it just gets under my skin. It's one of those little pet peeves of mine. So I just asked them and I said, hey, like, well, partly because I had this booking fee, but they also charged me more on top of the booking fee after. So I was like, not much more, but anyway, I emailed them and I was like, hey, like, you know, what is this for? I just am not really understanding. And then they told me that the booking fee is because they use a third party to like do their payments and stuff. And I was like, okay. And that third party charges them GST. And that's what this extra charge was on my, like, that I didn't get back for my refund. And I was like, okay, well, none of this...
GST is GST. It's not a booking fee.
Exactly. And I was like, well, they shouldn't be charging them GST, first of all, because there was no service that was rendered. And I don't know about you, but I mean, this is just my opinion, is in that circumstance, like let's say the company does have a legitimate booking fee that they have to pay a third party. If the event is canceled, you should get your full money back. And and it's up to that company to go to that third party and say, we actually want a refund of our booking fees because nothing was booked.
Right.
So I don't get, but they say, oh, it's processing fee or it's sunk marketing costs. And I'm thinking, well, that's a risk that you take as a business to run events.
Right.
You know, why should the consumer pay for something that they're not getting? But do you think I'm coming at this at the wrong angle? Like, I don't know. I'm interested to know your thoughts. I don't know.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because I don't work in that industry. So I guess it's hard for me to, like, I get it from the consumer perspective. It's frustrating, of course. Like, you don't want to pay for anything that you didn't get. But at the same time, it's like, because I don't understand that industry of events and, you know, ticket sales, maybe there's something that we don't get that, you know. Yeah.
I was going to say, I know that sometimes they have like deposits that they have to put down for spaces that are non-refundable. So that could be part of it. You know, like I have heard of people that have booked like wedding spaces that are non-refundable and they put a deposit down and they don't get that back. Yeah. So I guess that could be part of it. So that could be like a sunk cost that they don't get back. You know what I mean? But again, I just feel like it
should just say in the beginning when you are buying it that this part is not refundable.
Yeah. Well, like
that's the ultimate thing.
Yeah. The interesting thing is when I book these tickets, I'm like 99% sure that the website didn't say that the booking, that it said that you would get a refund. And then when I went on like lately, it's like they've updated their website and it says that the booking fee is non-refundable. But like they shouldn't be able to charge me GST on top of that booking fee that I've already paid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway, it's just a frustration of mine. And another thing too is like a lot of these companies, they'll be so quick to like take your money. Like they charge you instantly. Like you book with your credit card or your debit card or whatever it may be. And then when it comes time to do a refund or process a refund, it takes forever to get the money back.
Right. Did you get it back?
I did get it back. So it was pretty, this one was quicker than I had thought. But like, sometimes they'll be like, oh, it will be back in your account in 10 business days or something. And like, I had other things happen this year with flights with refunds. And they did eventually refund me, but it was like 3 months after I made the refund request.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. like some of my refunds I got when I got back to Calgary, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, it's just.
I mean, to be fair, again, to play devil's advocate, it's also COVID. So
yes,
if it was a flight, they probably had to process like so many refunds.
That's probably what's the lengthy time.
I understand to some extent. Yeah.
And some
but I get it. It's frustrating.
Yeah. Some companies are so good about it as well. Like I had accommodation booked with Airbnb, and they initially refunded me minus the service charge. So I actually just emailed them and said, hey, like I never, you know, obviously because of COVID, I had to do this. And they refunded it to me right away. They're like, yep, here you go. You know, that's what I feel like should happen, you know? So.
Well, that's the thing. It's like sometimes companies need to realize that sometimes like just giving the refund is better in the long run because the customer is going to be happier.
Exactly.
Than, you know, because if they didn't refund you, then maybe you wouldn't use Airbnb again, or, you know, there's, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's a small cost for something that would benefit you in the future to have like good customer service.
Exactly. Well, and I think this whole experience is going to make me keep an eye out on those booking fees and stuff, and just be more vigilant in the future. You know.
So would you not buy something if there was a $5 booking fee?
I don't know. A $5 booking fee is like super high for considering like
it's high.
The tickets that I bought, they were $41. Like $5.
Was it $5 for the booking fee?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a huge, because usually like when you use those third-party vendors, it's a percentage of the transaction. Like, you know,
I know it's ridiculous.
You know, like credit cards and stuff, like they'll take a percentage or whatever. So I was just kind of like, ooh, that
makes no sense.
Exactly. Feels a bit weird, but
like I remember when I used to go to like the EDM events and stuff, and we would buy a lot of tickets, and they would, every time it would be like the ticket would be like $30, and there would always be like a $5 extra charge.
Fee, yeah.
Like some kind of extra charge. And I'm like, what's the fucking charge for? And they would charge you that per ticket. So I would think, okay, maybe it's like a transaction fee. I don't know, like some kind of fee. So, you know, it shouldn't matter how many tickets you're buying, but like for each ticket, they're going to charge you like $5 or however many dollars.
That is ridiculous. Like,
and it's like, excuse me? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is that?
It's
like,
BS.
I don't understand. Again, I guess because we're not in that industry, it's like hard to say, but like,
I think that's how they make one of the ways that make money, I guess.
Or like, or cover their losses in case the event gets canceled or something. For sure. So like,
well, think about banks. Like banks are the biggest scam on this earth, you know?
God damn.
Like, the thing, honestly, the things that they charge, like, is like, for example, like, I don't know about, I think it's especially Canadian banks. I think we've complained about this. No,
Canadian banks are the worst.
Canadian banks are so bad. They will just charge you fees on top of fees.
Yeah.
And if you want to take, like, even, I think for some of my bank accounts, I have a lot.
Okay.
Some of my, I don't have a lot, but I have a few.
Yeah.
I bank with a few different banks, but like for one of them, they still charge me $1 for like an email transfer.
Which is crazy.
I'm like, what are you doing, bitch? You're not doing anything. Anyways. And then also, I hate that thing where you have to have like a minimum balance in your bank account.
Oh my God.
In order to not get a fee. And then even for like, if you take out the money for like a day and then put it back in, they still charge you that fee because your account balance always has to be above a certain amount.
Exactly. And then the thing is, those thresholds are actually quite high. Like a lot of them will be like,
it's high.
Like $5,000 or $6,000 minimum needs to be in your account to not get the service charges. And if you do have your money in that account, like let's say you put $6,000 in there, you don't get interest or anything on it. So it literally just sits there.
Yeah. And so sometimes it's not even worth it to save the monthly fee.
Exactly. But it's ridiculous. That's why one thing I was happy about when I moved back is that we're starting to get some like disruptor banks, which I think is a good thing. Like in a sense that like it's because Canada, part of the reason is like we have the big five banks that have always been the big five banks. And even though these like challenger banks are technically like owned or subsidiaries of the big five, it's like they're still offering a new kind of service. Like there's a couple ones that like have no service charges, no service fees, like that kind of stuff where I'm like, actually, I'm just going to do my banking with them. Why would I use another branch that says, hey, you have to have a minimum balance where I can just have that in a savings account actually earning me money and not pay a fee anyway. So it's just so annoying. Like, I just hate it. It's like, and that's not where they, the crazy thing is like these Canadian banks, like that's not even where they make most of their money. Like they make their money in loans and investments, all that kind of stuff. The fee is just like I guess it's still a little icing on the cake. It's still more revenue for them, but it's not in the grand scheme of things. It's not huge, you know? So it's just a constant annoyance. But I guess if you think there's like 37 million people in Canada, if we're all paying $5,
if each of them pay fees.
Yeah,
exactly. So it seems like it doesn't seem like a lot of money to one person, but if you add it all up, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's our complaints. We haven't even got to news yet. It's been 30 minutes.
Oh, God damn.
Well, we needed to have a little catch up, guys. We need to have a little catch up. We needed a vent session. You and I have not seen each other for a long time. We needed that vent session. It's been a while.
I think that we should do an episode in the future, like in the next little while, with some wine.
Getting drunk? Yeah. I was gonna say. I was just thinking about this today. God, we are on the same wavelength. That same alcoholic wavelength. I was like, oh my God, we haven't done. It's like, to celebrate the second lockdown, because the first lockdown we did a few drunken episodes, And
also, exactly. And also to celebrate the fact that we have, I think this week, or no, it would have been last week, I think, or the week before, we've reached a year of this podcast.
Oh my God. When did we start, Daniel?
We started, I think the first episode aired like maybe December 4th. I can't remember 100% for sure.
It's been a year.
Like, that's crazy.
That's insane.
Like,
wow.
Like this right now
flew by.
Is episode 55. Like, just throwing it out there. We have spoken to each other on this podcast, not including all of our hangouts, for over 55 hours, Rose.
And we still can't shut the fuck up.
Oh my God. Is there something wrong with us, guys? Honestly.
I think there might be.
Like, what is going on? Like,
it's actually shocking how much we can talk.
So I think either the next episode or the one after that, we'll have like a celebration episode.
I think that's a great idea.
Where
it would have to be next week. It's Christmas week next week.
Oh, true. Yeah. Because then we could also talk about
Let's get drunk next week.
Yes. And we could talk about highlights from the podcast or, anything and just have a few drinks and,
Just have a good fun sesh.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll have a long session. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll put some questions out to the audience as well and say, hey, is there some stuff you guys questions for us or what you want us to talk about? That would be fun.
I love it. Ooh, that's the plan next week.
Exciting.
All right. Shall we get to the news?
Yeah. So there's a couple stories that are going on. So
I'm interested to know what you've picked out.
Oh God, they're not actually very happy ones, to be honest.
Is it about the vid?
Well, one of them, the positive ones about, I have three.
The vaccine?
The vaccine. Shall we talk about the vaccine, Roses?
Yeah, let's talk about the vaccine because I've been hearing about it. I know that, I think we got a shipment in Canada.
We did. So apparently this week, so today is Monday, right?
Yes.
When was this article? Oh no, this was today, December 14th. And it said, okay, so this is about the blah, 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 blah. So the first shots were administered in Quebec City and Toronto within half an hour of each other. A resident of a long-term care home in Quebec City was the first person in Canada to receive a dose of Pfizer's vaccine today.
Oh shit, guys, history in the making. Today was the first day. Wow. So somebody in a care home, a resident. So not even like what do you call it? Healthcare worker.
No.
That's surprising. I thought they would give it to the healthcare workers first.
I don't know. It says resident. And then it says this comes after the first batch of vaccines officially arrived in Canada on Sunday evening, prompting provinces to prepare to inoculate their most valuable, vulnerable populations this week.
Goddamn.
I know. The Pfizer biotech vaccine was approved by Health Canada last week as cases continue to spike across the country. So now,
do you think it's safe? Like, have they tested this enough?
Well, this is the thing that people are saying. Like, there's like some back and forth about this. Like, they said that like the vulnerable population and the healthcare workers, those people are probably just going to get the vaccine, right? Where the issue is going to be with the rollout is the general public. And there's concern that like a lot of people are hesitant with the vaccine for a number of reasons, which I kind of understand. Okay. Hear me out on this one. So
yeah, I'm listening.
I'm not saying that necessarily I'm an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. I think
You're definitely not an anti-vaxxer.
No.
You got Oh, no, you didn't get the flu vaccine. You anti-vax.
I am not an anti-vaxxer, Rose.
Just kidding, guys.
Our listeners think
he's not an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah. But basically, like my opinion on this, and again, I could be coming at this at a completely wrong angle. I think that vaccines play a very, very important role, and there's this whole idea of getting herd immunity and all that kind of stuff. So with the vaccines, part of my hesitation is I feel like again, typically when we see vaccines roll out, it takes, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus years to develop a vaccine, safely test it, do the trials, kind of long-term impacts, all of that kind of stuff. So that makes me a little bit concerned. And then also, in my opinion, like typically you would want to get vaccinated with something that has like a high probability of severe or horrible implications to yourself, right? Generally, I would think, right? And in our age category, the chances of like dying or anything like that is so minimal that I just don't see, for me, the benefit of taking the vaccine. Now, that being said, the reason I say that is if the vulnerable population all gets vaccinated so that they can't get it, then I am not worried about passing it on to somebody vulnerable. Because that was my thing throughout this whole thing is I wasn't necessarily worried myself about getting the coronavirus. It was more about passing it on to somebody that wouldn't be able to fight it off and being, responsible for the death of another person, which I would feel horrible about, right? So part of me is like, because they were saying like the stats for people like between 30 and 35, I can't remember. I'll have to find out the exact stats, but like the chances of us dying or having serious implications is so low. Like, so
I don't know about the serious implications though.
You don't think so?
I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the data. I know that the chances of somebody in our age group dying is very low, very low. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It has happened, but it is lower. But I think my concern would be the serious potential side effects, and because they don't know, right? I think that's the kind of scary part is that you don't know what's going to happen in the long term, because they do say that there are certain things that may impact you potentially for a lifetime if you get this virus.
Oh, like you're talking about long COVID, right?
Like long-term effects, like, I don't know, you have like long-term lung problems, for example.
No,
so I feel like that's like not talked about as much. Again, I don't know the details. Maybe it shouldn't be talked about as much. Maybe it's not as big as that I think it is. But
I just feel like
I would say that's what I'm concerned with.
Yeah, there's so many unknowns about this virus, and that's why I'm like, another thing too they were mentioning, which is where there's a little bit of confusion in my mind, is they were saying like for those of you that had the virus and recovered and built those antibodies, as your body naturally does to fight it off in future, actually there's no guarantee that you're immune to not be reinfected. So then my question is, if we're vaccinating people, how do we know that they're not going to be able to become reinfected later? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
Well, you don't know. There's never 100% guarantee. Same thing with the flu vaccine.
Exactly. They did say 95% accuracy or something like this. So I don't know. I have my reservations. The good thing is, I mean, not the good thing. This sounds kind of bad, but like by the time we're in line to get a vaccine, Rose, it's going to be like quite far down the line. So I think that like by then they would have,
seen any side effects.
Yeah. Oh God, that's so bad.
That's bad. That's the thing. That's what I would be concerned with. The main thing is, I think the main concern, which is I think a legitimate concern, is the fact that it was rolled out so quickly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand why also it was, rolled out so quickly, because the whole world was fucking under fire for this last year. So it's not the same as any other vaccine. It's a very unique scenario. So there's a few things that I think make this very unique. It's the fact that whole world was impacted. Everyone was trying to develop a vaccine. It's not like when other vaccines are being created, it's like every single person, person is focused on creating that specific vaccine. Yeah. So I do think that's why I made it super fast. But it is concerning in terms of, because we don't know what the long-term effects are of the vaccine either.
Exactly. Well, and I echo that point as well. Actually, you're right. In clinical trials and development, I feel like, again, I'm not that involved in the biotech and biopharma industry, so I don't really know how that all works.
Daniel?
No, I know. Weird, hey?
Okay.
But I do understand that a lot of it has like, there's certain legislation and there's a lot of red tape, right? So I do feel like part of the reason why this was able to be fast tracked so quickly is because a lot of the red tape and barriers were removed. So I think you're right. Maybe in the past, other vaccines that took 4 years to develop might have only taken a year if there was some of those red tape that was removed, or the bureaucracy. And sometimes things can take a while, just from back and forth with emails and random stuff, like obviously different in the biotech industry. But again, that could be the reason. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not going to get the vaccine. That's not what I'm saying. I just do have my concerns, and I do feel a little bit uncomfortable. I did want to personally, and I don't know if this is just me, because I think that I did technically already have this back in Spain.
I think you might have, but we don't know, I guess.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that there's maybe an option to get the antibodies test so that maybe if you can prove that you have the antibodies, you might not have to get the vaccine because you've already fought off the virus because, you'll technically be immune-ish. Up to 95% accuracy, apparently.
I wonder how they tested everything.
Exactly. Like, again, it's complicated shit that I'm never going to understand because it be in bio. Originally...
I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Pfizer. Can we trust Pfizer?
I just don't know. I don't know. It's
hard to say.
And apparently these vaccines as well, which make it a little difficult to transport around, is they have to be kept at such a cold temperature as well. So like...
Well, in Canada, we ain't got no problems.
Well, no, they could keep it outside right now. It'd be minus 25.
Yeah.
But apparently that's causing some difficulties is like transporting it and stuff because it has to be so cold. And I don't know if I got this right, but don't quote me on this, but I remember seeing something a couple days ago about Alberta getting some shipment, and it was like equivalent of enough to get 2,000 people vaccinated. That was our first shipment. And I was just like, oh
God. And because they have to do it in they have to get vaccinated twice,
two
apparently.
Doses, yeah. So you get the
two doses.
Yeah. So you get the first shot and then 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later or something like this, you get the second shot. So,
I do wonder how this is going to work in America's healthcare system in terms of who's going to get the vaccine and who's not. Are they going to give it out publicly? Is this going to be a public?
Pay for it?
Exactly. That's my question. That's how their system is currently. But then I feel like the pandemic has changed a lot of people's maybe perception of what should be free and what should be not free, but what should be provided for by the government. But who knows?
Exactly. And I don't know. It's a tough one.
Did you hear that in Australia they got rid of there's no cases of COVID?
I didn't hear that.
And I think also in New Zealand. Yeah, it's gone. There's 0 cases.
What?
Have you not heard this? Let me Google this for a second just to make sure.
Are you sure?
I saw this. I've heard it from multiple.
So no new cases, but they have some active cases.
No. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Let me search it up. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, you're probably right. It's no new cases. Let me get it. But it's not showing me news. Let's see. Come on. Well, why is not?
What's going on with your phone, Rose? Do you need to get a new phone?
No, my phone is fine, but Google is not giving me what I want to know, Let's see here.
Google.
Google, come on, tell me. It says here, what the fuck? Come on, give me the news. Anyway, it says no, you're right. No new cases of coronavirus in, it says in Victoria. I guess that's a specific part.
That's a province.
But I think
that's like
a province all
of,
over.
Interesting.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, it's basically almost none. Okay.
Yeah. Do you think?
Which is insane.
Do you think that part of it, because in Canada, and again, I don't know if this is so much about the virus. Again, I don't know anything, but you know how in Canada, during the springtime, it was that's when we were getting a lot of cases, and then over the summer, it dropped and restrictions kind of got lifted, and then as we moved into the fall winter flu season, it skyrocketed. Whereas Australia is going into summer now, and so is New Zealand. So do you think that maybe that's part of it? I don't know. It could.
Yes, I do think. I think there's a lot of different elements as to why. So, for example, I do think it's because it's summer over there, whereas we're going into winter. So obviously that's going to make an impact. So that's definitely a huge reason, I think. And I think another reason is because they're very isolated from the rest of the world. So they're they're not close to everything else. So I feel like if they cut down travel, no one's coming through. You're not traveling to Australia to go to Europe, right? No one, if you go to Australia, you're going there to go to Australia, right?
Yeah.
Or New Zealand maybe, but you're not stopping by. There's no layover in Australia, So I think that's a huge reason as well. And also it says when Australia was hit with a surge in late July, it prompted one of the world's longest lockdowns in Melbourne, for example, virtually closing everything that wasn't a grocery store or hospital for nearly 4 months. So they did a very extensive, very serious lockdown.
Yeah.
And I mean, there you go. It worked.
God damn.
So I think that's, lockdowns work. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Oh, god damn. It's crazy as all hell in tarnation.
I know. But yeah, I saw this video where it was like on IG. It was on Instagram, and it was like a video of people just walking around, just walking around the street, like tons of people, no masks. And it's just like, it's like 2019. I'm like, God damn, that looks weird.
I know. I saw one too about a festival in Thailand. Did you see that?
Oh, they're having festivals, dude.
Yeah.
Like these countries are having festivals. They're chilling. They're traveling. And there's a girl that I'm following that lives in Bali.
Yeah.
And they can just get like a rapid COVID test. And they just like go in, get the test, get the results immediately.
Yeah.
And then they're allowed to go travel somewhere, like within the islands of Indonesia. And I'm like, okay, so Indonesia could somehow figure out rapid COVID testing. Mm-hmm. And we somehow can't figure out how to get COVID results in like,
Oh, God, I know.
Anyways, there's that.
Yeah.
Anything else in the news, Daniel?
Well, this is a really sad story.
Oh, God.
There's a couple. So.
Oh, God. You're scaring me.
Well, it's not that sad. It's just like really bad. So do you know the actor Shia LaBeouf?
Shia LaBeouf, yes.
Yeah. So I like.
What happened to him? You're scaring me.
No, nothing happened to him.
Okay.
But I guess he was in a relationship with a singer called Twigs, like a U.S. singer. She has just recently filed a lawsuit against him for sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. Yeah.
Okay,
so,
I thought you were going to say that they like died or something.
No.
Christ, you scared me.
So apparently, I'll read you a little bit of the story, but just after Valentine's Day in 2019, the musician FKA Twigs was in a car speeding towards Los Angeles. At the wheel was her boyfriend, the actor Shia LaBeouf. He was driving recklessly, she said, in a lawsuit on Friday, removing his seatbelt and threatening to crash unless she professed her love for him. Then when they were returning from the desert, where Mr. LaBeouf, the star of Transformers, had raged at her throughout the trip. She said in the lawsuit, waking her up in the middle of the night and choking her.
What?
Yeah. So it was crazy. And apparently, part of the lawsuit, I guess they wanted to settle outside of court, but part of the settlement that they they didn't want this to go public and whatever else. And one of the conditions was for, I guess, Shia LaBeouf to go get some like help and therapy and all this stuff. And I guess he didn't want to do that. So that's why this has become public information, and they've had to
Why did he not want to do that?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. So now he's in the lawsuit. So he's being sued.
Yeah, he's being sued. Yeah. By
Is that
her.
how it works? Like, here's my question. When you commit a crime, do you get sued or do you go into the criminal system? I don't understand.
I think it depends on that's actually a good question.
Because isn't that a crime?
So I think
assault?
when she sues him, it's going to go through the criminal. I think the suing and criminal thing will go hand in hand.
Okay.
You'll get criminally charged, and the suing is for compensation for the victim.
Oh, I see.
think.
Okay.
But you know, yeah, I don't know. It's just like.
Okay, so it's funny because I used to have the hots for Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, I did too.
Did I tell you that? Is that why you're sad? He seems a bit messed up though, doesn't he?
No, he does. And he's had a lot of run-ins with the law.
He's had a lot of issues. I thought he was kind of cleaned up now, but I guess,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just never know what's going on in people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what's really, really nice? Well, a silver lining in all of this. So the singer FKA Twigs, she said that in her lawsuit, she plans to donate a significant portion of any monetary damages to domestic violence charities. She said it was actually very expensive and a massive undertaking of time and resources to get out of this abusive relationship, she said in an interview.
Jesus Christ. How long? So when did this whole crazy thing happen? Clearly the relationship itself was probably abusive.
Yeah. So I think the incidents happened around, it said in Valentine's Day, around February last year.
Last year.
Yeah, last year.
Oh.
And I guess they were dating
but
for
now
a year.
It's finally come out, this whole thing. Mm-hmm. Or is this old news that you dug up?
No. This is happening now.
Okay. So the lawsuit's happening right now.
Yeah. So.
Wow. That's fucking wait, but she's suing him for sexual assault as well?
No, not sexual assault.
What did you read?
Sexual battery.
What's sexual battery?
I think it's when you like. I don't actually.
Isn't battery the same as assault? Let me Google this. Sexual assault versus sexual battery in Minnesota. Okay. Apparently this is in Minnesota, but maybe it's the same. Okay. So assault and battery are two separate crimes. Typically, assault involves a threat of any violence that causes fear of physical harm. On the other hand, battery is the physical act itself. For example, threat to punch someone is assault, while punch is a battery. So he actually, this is actually worse. The battery is actually worse because he actually did it.
Yeah, he did both. He did sexual battery and assault and infliction of emotional distress.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And apparently, because Shia had worked with Sia in some of her music videos and stuff. And apparently Sia also, I'm going to see if I can find the tweet, but she also tweeted about this whole thing. Sia...
Oh, Sia calls Shia LaBeouf a pathological liar, claims he conned her into an adulterous relationship.
Yeah.
This is so fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
God damn, this man, he needs help.
I know. He does. Like he has like severe addiction issues as well. Like he has a drinking problem that he's admitted to and like all of this.
Do you think it's because he was a child actor, partially?
I think partially. Like again, I don't want to taint everyone with that same brush, but I do feel like there's something to be said about people that go into stardom and starlight, I guess whatever you want to call it, at a very young age. Because
I know.
I mean, I don't want to like come to any conclusions, but when you have a certain number of incidents that all follow the same pattern, you start to think, what's the commonality here, right? And we see this time and time again with child stars of having, turbulent relationships, problems with substances, all kinds of stuff. We've seen this time and time again. So I think there's something to be said about child stars.
Yeah. Oh God, that's very fucking, oh God. I thought he was, doing better, but clearly maybe not. But I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
It's kind of a sad one, and I don't know.
It's a sad one. It's a very sad one.
Especially,
oh God.
Especially because I really liked and obviously I don't know Shia LaBeouf, but the characters that he would play were always so relatable.
Really into him.
Yeah.
I thought he was so cute.
He was, and he played these really cute. He was always that kind of
you thought he was cute.
Yeah,
I wouldn't think that he would be your type.
He's like that dorky guy next door that's kind of funny.
See, I didn't think that was your type. You like the more hunky type. You totally do. I like the more dorky type.
That's true. But I feel like
I'm like a dorky man person.
That is very true, Rose. That is very...
Oh, but he was hot. When he was younger, he was hot.
Yeah.
There was a phase and then he got kind of weird and, he started doing all this crazy shit. But there was a phase when he was when because he's just a few years older than us, I think.
Yeah, he's not much.
And have you seen Disturbia, that movie?
Yes. Yeah.
See, in that movie, I was like, damn, he is hot. Because I think that was the first movie after he was a child actor, where he kind of became not a child actor anymore.
Yeah, he grew and he became a man.
He became a man.
Just like One Direction, all have become men.
But anyways, I mean, clearly he needs some help. Hopefully he can get it. I hope this other, what's her name, Twigs.
Yeah.
I hope she gets the justice.
Yeah.
That is really, that's bad, man. That's pretty bad.
It's so sad because obviously to be in that situation, I couldn't even imagine.
Seriously.
Because you are with somebody that you care about and they're
that's the thing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's to be in a relationship with somebody and you're in love with them, or at least, you really like them to some extent. And then for them to do that to you, that's crazy. Oh
God, Rose, I don't know, because it's and
that's traumatizing.
Exactly, they say that there's a pattern, or not a pattern, but there's a kind of thing that these individuals that do this follow, where they really work on building and developing your trust in the beginning, and then slowly break you down.
Right. Well, I guess it depends on if they're being really intentionally manipulative, which I guess I don't know. Yeah. It could just be that he's just a fucking, mess of a human. Who knows? But either way, it's just fucked up. It's just fucked up.
Yeah. It's just...
Oh God. Sorry, guys. That's a bit disturbing, isn't it? Jeez.
It's
So that happened. Unfortunately, that's very disappointing. We all thought Shia LaBeouf was hot at some point.
But hotness is not a good person.
But this goes to show. Exactly. This goes to show also, like, even if you're a celebrity, does not mean... Actually, if you are a celebrity, you're more likely to be messed up. I swear to God. Like, it's just like, so we need to stop idolizing these people, and, and their lives and thinking that they're glamorous and everything, because so many of them are not. And despite having all of the resources that they do, which is so much money, and he could have literally taken all the time off and got therapy. He could have got into, he could have done all of these things. And despite that, it's still difficult for them to, be a good person.
No, but the thing is, Rose, we have to remember as well, when you have like substance abuse problems, you having all this other stuff, it's easy for us to say, because we're in like, I like to think that I'm in my mostly sane mind. But like, I would think if I had those kind of resources and stuff, I would get the help and I would take the time off. But then look at another really sad and really perfect, not example of what this is, but like of somebody not taking that time off was Avicii. And you saw the pressure, he tried to take that time off and he had so much pressure from his team to like continue to keep touring and doing all of this stuff. So like, did you see the documentary on him as well? Where he was like, I did
watch the documentary.
It's so sad because he was like basically
it's so sad.
Reaching out to these people being like, look, this is my situation. Like, I don't know what to do. And they were like, keep touring. Like,
yeah,
so
that's
I think
true.
It's a combination of many things. Yes, they have the resources, but they also don't have the support network. Like we think, we have our friends and family here, but like a lot of them have friends and family, sure, but like a lot of them, they have this team that's surrounding them that actually the team that surrounds them livelihood is based on you as a creator or whatever else. So it's in their best interest that you keep working, even if you're not in the right mind to do so. So
very true.
It's a tough situation. True. God damn, Rose.
So you have to basically help yourself out of that situation. Oh my God. The Avicii documentary was so sad.
Yeah.
I watched it after he died and I was like, oh my God, it looks like a documentary that they made like after he died, but they actually made the documentary before he died.
Exactly. But that's what's so sad about it is like, he literally, I don't think I watched the whole thing, but I've seen clips of it. But it was like, he was like literally.
Oh, you should watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I need to. He was calling out for help. Like if that wasn't a cry for help, then I don't know what is. Do you know what I mean? That's why a lot of people.
If you guys haven't seen it, it's basically, Avicii was a DJ. He was a world famous, one of the most popular, most famous DJs.
Huge.
Yeah. And he really blew up really quickly. And, after, a few years of like being one of the most famous DJs, he basically made this like huge announcement where he was like, I'm no longer touring. And for someone in that space, like EDM space, to say they're not touring, it's basically like career suicide, essentially, in a way, because everyone tours. That's how you promote your music. That's how you make money, like ton of money. And so he stopped touring. And then and then I guess like they did that documentary on him and like why he spiraled into, retirement, essentially. And then unfortunately, a few years later, after he quit touring, he committed suicide. That was a few years ago.
Yeah.
So sad. And basically the documentary showcases like, how the touring became just a major drain on his mental health and physical health. He was drinking all the time because he hated performing. I didn't know. Did you know he hated performing?
Yeah, because he said he was like more of an introvert, right? Like he just really hated to be up on stage in front of all those people. So he would drink and take some drugs and stuff to cope with going out and having to be out in front of everyone, because that's when he would be social.
Yes. Yeah. And I was shocked because he was performing probably every single night for a very long time. So for you to hate that and do it every single night, oh my God, like honestly, I can't even imagine.
Exactly.
And I remember like I saw him at like I saw him so many times and I almost felt guilty for like seeing him and like enjoying myself because I'm like, oh my God, this guy like hated his life when he was up there,
It's like anyways, it's like you never know. I watched this thing on I can't remember what platform it was on, but it was about social media influencers and it was about like some really big names. And there's this one guy, I can't remember what his like tag is or whatever, but like his whole brand and who he is like this like club promoter basically, where he does like crazy shots of like. Oh
yes, we watched this movie. It was about social. Was it not? I can't remember, but I watched the same one. Is it the same one with Paris Hilton and stuff?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so he was a major club promoter.
Yes, a major club promoter. And if you watched his like videos and his Instagram and you were like, oh my God, this guy has the best life ever. Like all the guys were jealous because he's always with like hot girls and all this stuff. And then he'd come home and he was like, even in the show, he was like, I fucking hate my life. Like, this is depressing. Like, this is the worst. And then but he would still do it because that's how he makes his money. So he was like, just in such a bad headspace. And I was just thinking like, cause your mental health is so important. And you know, I think it's easier said than done, I guess, cause I'm not making millions of dollars doing something, but like, at what point do you just say like, you need to walk away? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is no longer worth my time. Like, I'd rather do something. I've made my money. Like, time to go do something else that actually benefits me. But again,
that's the thing. Everyone thinks like they look at certain, like for example, like that club promoter guy, and he was basically, I think he was known for doing like big like champagne, like
showers,
just like shower champagne on like naked girls and shit, and like that's, I don't know, it was so fucking dumb. But anyway, that's what he did. I guess people like that shit.
Yeah,
and that's how he made his money. And the thing is, I'm sure the first few times he did it, it was fun. But then you do it over and over and over again after like a year or 2 years, and it's like fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's not fun after a few times. That's the thing. It's like even when we do things that we think we love so much, if you do it over and over and over again, you're not going to get that much enjoyment out of it at some point.
Exactly. It's the whole concept of diminishing returns, right? Like eventually you start to get that like feeling like it's even like, and I don't want to like discredit this too much because I still love traveling, and this is just a bad example, but like I remember when I was
It's a good example, I think.
When I was backpacking, I was gone for 6 months, and the whole time I was backpacking, I was going to like beautiful beaches, amazing islands, all of this stuff. And it was so funny because towards the end of my trip, I remember I was with some friends in a place in Mexico that had like this really famous beach and whatever else. And I remember we like were debating whether or not we should go to the beach because we wanted to like just hang out in the town or whatever. And I was like, this is really bad that we've gotten to this point where like we don't want to go to this stunning beach because we've seen them so many times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and
it's true.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's a tough one. It's like partying though too. Like, you know, you enjoy it for a few times.
It's exhausting.
It is. Imagine getting drunk and partying as a job for like every
oh my God,
single night.
I think I would die. That's the thing, because I used to, again, when I used to go to these EDM events and stuff, I used to be like, oh my God, DJing must be the best job ever.
Yeah.
You just think like it's so glamorous, you know, you're up there, everyone's fucking worshiping your ass, like you're fucking playing music and it's exciting and you're partying, that's your job. Like how exciting, you know, everyone's like in love with you, all this fun stuff.
Yeah.
But then you actually think about it, you take a step back and you think, you are literally, going out, getting drunk. Like, because, like, you know, they're probably feeding you alcohol and stuff. You might be
100%.
getting high, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're doing this every night, playing a very similar set.
Yeah.
And it must be exhausting. And you're traveling from place to place. So you're going, maybe one night you're in Paris and then the next night you're in Berlin and you're just constantly on the move. Like that is so exhausting.
Exactly.
That you can't have a normal life.
Exactly. And on top of that, like, yeah, you're like constantly like partying, doing all of this stuff. Like you never have time, like just to kind of be yourself and reflect. You're just like, go, next venue, next location. And like, even in your 20s, like you would burn out so fast.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
you wouldn't have normal relationships. That's another thing. I think that's the one thing that, you know, Avicii was saying when he quit, like when he quit touring, he was saying, you know what, I feel like I don't have time for, you know, to like for me as a person, because his name is Tim. Yeah. So he's like, I feel like, you know, I've lived my life as Avicii, but I don't have any time to like build my life as Tim. And I don't have, you know, normal relationships like everybody else. So the things that they do that we are jealous of, they are jealous of, you know, people like us that are just living our lives like normally and spending time with family and friends.
Exactly.
And that's the one thing that
and I think especially for DJs, like I know that they're like it's a special category, but like at least with other artists, okay, yeah, they're still touring and stuff, but their sets are like from like 7 till 11. You know what I mean? So they can get to bed at like an okay time, right? But DJs are like, some of them are playing at 3 a.m. at venues. Like they are. Yeah. So it's
usually, especially if they're big, they're playing at the very end.
Exactly. Like, I remember when we went to go see, we were trying to see David Zoe in London, and every time because he would always be towards the end of the set, and we like would end up getting too tired or whatever, so we never ended up seeing him until the very end. We did see him eventually.
Yes, so. House every weekend, but who knows? I mean, it's a very different type of life, and I'm sure a lot of them enjoy it. But you do have to have some level of balance. And I don't think you can do it for that long, to be honest.
And I think that balance is the key. It's like, you know what, maybe you pick when you do your tour day, but it's so hard because you have a team managing you and stuff, right? And and this is the thing. I mean, as much as the team is like, trying to look out for their interests, at the end of the day, their livelihood is dependent on that person. So you want them constantly touring. You want them doing all this stuff because that means you make money. So... And those are the people that are around you all the time, is those people.
That's true.
So
you're just hearing from those people that are dependent on you for income.
Yeah.
And that Avicii, that manager was shady as fuck,
Oh my God, I know. Like,
he sounded like such an asshole.
Oh, it was just so bad. Like, it was just a really sad documentary to watch.
I was so sad when he died. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Because he... it's just so sad to hear about. And then like the things that he was saying in the documentary, he was like, you know what, like, I have everything checked off on my, checklist, as in I've achieved everything. Why am I so unhappy?
Yeah. And
like, that was to me so sad because it's like, he thought that like, once I have this, like once I become world famous DJ, I'll be happy. But clearly that's not the answer.
Oh God. Yeah, exactly. So
but anyway,
yeah.
But that should be a wake up call to everybody that, these celebrities and these people, it's almost a good thing to hear this because then you know that like, that's not really the answer. So you can be miserable or happy no matter where you are in your life.
Exactly. So this is the thing. I think the key there is we no, we don't, it's not that we make our own happiness, but like, happiness
it comes from within.
Yeah, and happiness is dependent on so many different factors, right? And just because you see somebody that's super successful that maybe has everything that you thought you wanted, does not necessarily mean they're happy. So it's really important to have, especially like to have that wake up call for yourself, because we are guilty of comparing ourselves to others, and you just need to constantly remind yourself, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what that person's life is like. So it's important to try to focus on your own life and what's going on to make you happy.
Preach, Daniel. It's true. I could do an entire episode on happiness.
Oh God, maybe we should, Rose. Maybe we'll be drinking our wine, having a
we
chat.
talk about happiness, philosophy. I'm very interested in this topic, and I've done quite a bit of not extensive research, but I think I know a little bit about the topic of happiness.
Oh,
so we could do a.
You could teach me, Rose.
Yes. Well, one thing I will say before we end, like, do we have any other news, by the way?
Yeah, but I feel like we're getting towards the end anyway, so we can always talk about the story another day.
One thing I will say, guys, okay? I don't know if this will make you feel better or worse. I think it will make you feel better, okay? There's something called the hedonistic treadmill. Have I talked to you about this?
I don't think you have, actually.
So it is basically the concept that, I don't know if I'm saying it right, hedonistic?
Yeah, I think that's the right word.
Yeah,
hedonistic,
that's right. Yeah? That's the way So basically, they did a study where they compared the happiness level of people that won the lottery. So people that we would expect to be very, very happy, right? And then people that became paraplegic. So people that like lost the ability to like move, I guess it's like, is it waist down or something like that?
I think paraplegic means all four limbs can't move.
Okay.
I can't actually.
Something like that. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Anyway, so they basically became paralyzed from maybe neck down. You might be right.
Let's see.
Daniel's going to check that. But essentially...
Oh, no, you're right. Okay, I think you're right. Paraplegic is an impairment in motor or sensory function in the lower extremities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, they compared these two groups, okay? So basically on the opposite end of the, I guess, happiness spectrum as we would see it.
Yeah.
So people that won the lottery versus people that became paraplegic. And then the interesting thing was they compared the happiness level when, this occurrence happened. And then they looked at the data, or they looked at their happiness level a year later. And it turns out that after a year, it just goes back kind of to the baseline of whatever they were at before. So what that means is like, no matter, like you can go through some kind of, extreme life, potentially life altering scenario. You could have something really great happening to you or really bad happening to you. And again, this is just one study, but I'm sure there's other studies to potentially back this up. But what they say is essentially at the end of the day, these external factors, they don't really have a long-term impact in your level of happiness. So what they're saying is if you're unhappy now with yourself or whatever it is, no matter what happens in your, life, you get the career promotion, you become a fucking world famous DJ, it's not going to, in the long run, make you happier. And the same thing with, something tragic happening to you. If you have something, incredibly tragic, again, it might impact you still, but ultimately, long term, you might not be as impacted as you think you might be. So
yeah. Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So you're right. Like if you have these like kind of big, what we would consider life altering events happen to you, be that positive or negative, you ultimately, how you were feeling before that, you kind of go back to that general state after a little bit of time, you know?
Exactly. So that's why it just kind of goes back to the baseline. You have a certain baseline essentially, and you could work on, there's things that you could do like in your day-to-day life. Exactly. So in your day-to-day life, you can work on a lot of different things. Again, we could do a whole episode on this. You could work on a lot of different things. And I think that's a good idea to talk about this next week, potentially, because I feel like, you know, we're kind of going back into second lockdown. People are kind of going through some mental health issues. So we can talk about this.
Let's pause that thought, Rose, and we will talk about it next week. So
okay, sounds good.
On that lovely note, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't already, check us out on Instagram at the SaVeg Podcast. See our lovely memes. We post some pictures up there. Ask you guys questions, that kind of stuff. Also, if you're listening to the podcast and you want to see our beautiful faces, check us out. We do have the video versions of all the podcasts on YouTube, and that's at the SaVeg Podcast. On YouTube. And what else, Rose? What about...
And if you guys want every episode a week earlier than everybody else, and if you want a bonus episode every single month, check us out on Patreon, which is patreon.com/the SaVeg Podcast. You will get lots more of me and Daniel.
Exactly.
We'll just say. And ad-free content. You can watch the videos ad-free, which is awesome. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next week for a tipsy episode.
Yes, I love it. We're going to be talking about happiness, and we're going to be drinking
mental
wine.
Health. Oh God, I don't know if this is. Well, one thing I will say that they do say don't rely on drugs and alcohol to make you feel better. But
okay, well, that's us out the window then. Shoot,
you know what? It's a compliment to our lives. We're not trying to make it. You know, it's not. You know what? It's fine. Yes, in moderation, balance.
It's fine in moderation. So yeah, check us out, guys. Next week we're gonna be talking all about happiness. We're gonna be having a little bit of wine. We're gonna be celebrating a year of this podcast.
Oh my God,
which is super, super exciting. We're gonna reach out to you guys on Instagram, and we're gonna ask you guys to give us some questions, things you want us to, random shit you want us to talk about, and we will be living for it with our bottle of wine.
Woohoo! I'm glad you clarified, Daniel. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.